All right, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, September 5th, a day after Labor Day, 2023, and let's look at the markets. So we'll start right here at Thinkorswim and look at the S&P 500, which is what the chart is that I have up here, and we got a little rounding going on here. Rounding, we popped up hard on the 29th, and we've been thrashing around for a few days. Now we're pulling back a little bit, but I wanted to call out something that's I find pretty fascinating, and that's this TrueMoMo indicator under here. If we go back in time, here's where it came down and then pulled back up again. Here's a place where it came all the way down and where it was oversold and came back up again. Same thing there, same thing there. Um, this is about like the only one that, and it still came up above the line and then pulled down hard, or not as hard actually. The price did, but the actual oscillator did not. And then we rallied pretty hard off of that. There's one. So I don't know how many with that we just counted, but here's one that rolled right over in this type of a zone. And the reason I'm calling that out is because we're in this zone. And can it roll over? Sure, it can. But we just counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4.5 anyway, 5, and all the way back to 6 before we had one of those. Um, so 1 out of 6. Maybe we could count this one here. That's 2 out of 7. 2 out of 8. So if you see my point, 2 out of 9, 2 out of 10, 2 out of 11, 2 out of 12, 2 out of 13. All right, that's enough. So the point is, this is a pretty good signal, and I don't necessarily want to be long the S&P straight up right now, but a pullback into this zone and then a rally on the hourly chart could be a nice indication of higher prices. So, and I'd say we've got anywhere in this whole range. There, I'm going to highlight it. It's not a very good range. This range, for that to be pretty viable, it could come all the way down into this zone, but if it gets too deep, it's already, it came down here, came up here, came way down here, came up here, and my point is, if we get down here again, we might break through. So, actually moving back down to that line, this line right here, might make some sense. So, but really, any kind of, I'm guessing in this zone right here is going to be where we see a potential bounce. Now, all that, if this continues to like push lower and these numbers push lower, and we don't get a reversal on this thing like we had back here, then obviously, if this continues to go lower, that means that the daily price went lower than expected. So, and then let's not forget, that's one standard deviation, that's 1.5, and then there's a 2 in there in a dotted line. So moving down into that zone makes sense. All right, that's enough of that. So The S&P went down by almost 19 points today, or 0.42%. The Dow, it's down by 195. However, you can see it's just coiling up here. And the question is, after you coil up, or it's going to go out one way or the other. I used to have a coach that talked about when prices coil up like that, basically it's like a spring. They can either go that way or they could go that way. And based on this line and this line and this line and this line, and the fact that we've come down here and retested that line, I'm expecting it to go like that. So, and we've got these numbers to go off of for October and November. I'd say we were in for a bumpy ride in September. So we shall see. All right. And again, I shouldn't have got rid of that so fast. We're oversold on an hourly basis over here. We're looking for one of those to pick up, and we're down here potentially able to do that. All of these are oversold and could potentially pick up. Technically speaking, and I'm doing some more research on these, but these bands coming in like that and this coming down into that is kind of like when you come down here and cross those bands and then it comes back up out of it. So that's what the bands are for. Kind of like overbought, oversold zones, except they move with volatility. Alright, and then the Russell went down by 2.1% today, but it's, the indications are all still pretty positive. This is going to be the one to watch. I mean, I popped the wrong one there. The transports are similar to the Russell, and we actually do have down arrows here that are possibly a bit concerning. But again, the Russell and the small caps, I think, are the ones to really watch here. We need to get something up and going on the daily chart for the. Although we do have, I mean, again, if we go back in the chart, this one actually reverses a little bit more often on the TrueMoMo indicator out of the bottom zone, but I still think the potential, I mean, we are oversold, more oversold than anything at this point. So that's that. That's the transports. Let's look at the NASDAQ, which is, no surprise, it's holding up the best. So, all right, and then let's pop over to stockcharts.com. And we'll put in the bullish for the bullish percent indexes or indices. And we'll look at the NYA. Oops, probably should. We're down by 2.19%. Probably should have hit the industrials first. They didn't move. The transports tacked on 2 O's to the downside, or minus 8.33%. So now 55% of the transport stocks are on a point and figure buy signal. The NASDAQ itself only down by 0.5% today. The SPX down by 2.42%. The OEX didn't change. And then the NDX actually went up by 1.79%. So there's enough back and forth in this that there's really nothing to panic about, in my opinion. So, and then finally we will pop up the automatic trading systems. This is the NASDAQ. I'm sorry, the Dow. It's right here, the YM. For since March of this year, and yeah, we've had some volatility, but we've come up nicely here in the last couple of weeks. These are the latest trades. 9.5 is today, so that thing traded a few times today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades today for a net negative on that position, and you can see that's what this really came down a little bit. The Russell since March has been really nothing but more down than up, and that's fine. I showed over the weekend what it looks like on the long-term basis, but today it had one trade. It's right there for a gain of 400 bucks. And then finally the NASDAQ since March. It's knifed down a little bit lately, but we've had a nice rally here recently, and that all came in a few days really. And then today, this is what it looks like. So 9.5, it had one trade. So net positive all in, but it's not like we need a nice winning streak or a couple to get going to take effect here. So with that, I'll leave you guys for the night. Take care, good trading, and have a great evening.